everyone, I'm Linda Cooper, and thanks so much for joining us on the New 100 Longevity Campaign. You might wonder what I am doing with this equipment on me. This is called Kaatsu, and I have to share with you that I am so blown over that I had to feature this on the show because I think it's like the best kept secret in biohacking that nobody knows about. In fact, it wouldn't have hit my radar if it hadn't been for the fact that one of the scientists that I featured on the show shared with me the information about Kaatsu and its incredible benefits. And it's been around for decades. So it's nuts because, let me say this, it's amazing. So let me tell you what Kaatsu is. The word Kaatsu is Japanese for additional pressure. And this was discovered in Japan decades and decades ago by Dr. Yoshiaki Sato. And what he found in his research, Dr. Sato realized that modified blood circulation in the limbs helped build muscle through a biochemical reaction in the brain. And then upon further research, he saw a ton of other positive physiological effects for athletic performance, for rehabilitation and recovery, for an injury, for longevity, health and wellness, for the geriatric population, preventing muscle atrophy. And actually my favorite, and it's not highly recognized on their literature or website, is skin tightening. Oh my gosh, ladies, I can't even tell you how excited I am. And I'm talking about, like, if you do injectables, lip plumpers and fillers, you don't need to anymore because that's what Kaatsu does. I actually saw this incredible improvement from drinking from a straw. Every one of us gets the little lines above our lip as you get older. Guess what? It's gone. It's seriously insane. Mind-blowing, in fact, and estheticians are just going nuts over this. In fact, there's one that has a blog who has exercises that I've been following where she does these A-E-I-O-U and neck up, neck down, and it tightens up everything. It's incredible. I can't wait to introduce you to today's guest. He is the co-founder and president of Kaatsu. His name is Steven Munatones. He is actually the person responsible for bringing it here from Japan to the United States, and now it's actually a global brand. It's available in 32 countries. I'm serious, it's the best kept secret. It's not gonna be secret any longer after this episode. Because I'm so sold, and I know that you all will be too. So he's going to share with us the decades of research behind the brand and all of its benefits. Because I just hit just like a tip of the iceberg. So let's welcome Steven to the show and get started. Hey Steven, so nice having you with us today. Welcome. Well, Steven, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I am so thrilled to share this best kept secret with everyone. And I am drinking the Kool-Aid, I gotta say. Check out my guns.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, well, I'd love for you to share with all of us first how you found Kaatsu to begin with. I know that you were doing some work in Japan, is that right?
Yes, I was an engineer in Japan for many years in the 1980s. Dial forward to 2001, and my old high school coach had become the Olympic swim team coach, and he said, come with me to the world championships that are held in Japan. I got there and I saw these Japanese athletes putting their bands around their arms. And that was the strangest thing. I mean, I've been a swimmer all of my life. I never saw anybody do that. And I asked them in Japanese, what is that? And they said, Kaatsu. And because it was a competition, I said, thank you, good luck. As it turns out, the head coach of the Japanese team introduced me to Dr. Sato. And I said, I called him up and I said, I saw these athletes right before competition putting these bands around their arms. What is it? And he said, are you American? And I said, yes. And he says, did you travel all the way from America to here? I said, yes. He goes, well, come in. I want to share this with you. And he shared Kaatsu with me. That was in 2001, July.
Wow. Yeah.
It took me 13 years for him to teach me everything about Kaatsu. It was a classic wax on, wax off. I mean,
Wax on.
he taught me, yes.
I
But after 13 years, he had confidence that I understood Kaatsu very profoundly. And then he said, great, let's start a company and let's introduce Kaatsu to the world. And that's where we are.
I love it. Okay, so he was your Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, absolutely.
So you shared with me a study that you did with him at the University of Tokyo's hospital for the geriatric unit, and I
Yes.
was just blown away. So I want you to share this research with everyone.
Yeah. It was actually a 10-year study, a full decade. And we studied 7,000 older people. They were all cardiac rehab patients. So all of them had had a heart attack, a stroke, some kind of heart disease, etc. And we literally put Kaatsu on their arms and their legs to see what the benefits were. And we were astounded with the benefits. Again, all we were trying to do was doing some cardiac heart rehabilitation for people who had serious enough illness or injury or a heart attack to go into the hospital in the first place. What we saw was, like your arms, a very nice toning of the muscle. We saw, it didn't matter what age, we saw skin tightening. We saw a reduction of A1C, an indicator of diabetes. And we were astounded. And during those 10 years, we kept on studying, taking blood samples, etc., in order to find out what was this about these apparently simple bands around the arms that would produce these health benefits.
Right. Well, I told you that it's not just my arms, it's actually my whole body skin is tightening. And I love the esthetician's blog where she has us doing the A-E-I-O-U
Yes.
pronounced. And I can see the difference. It's like so visible. And I was sharing that in the intro with everyone because it's mind blowing. But I want you to share with us also about, the capillaries in our body and that most people don't realize their importance.
Yes. Well, we were very lucky with Dr. Sato and Dr. Nakajima and all the Japanese cardiologists. They are very knowledgeable about our vascular system. So we have our heart, we have our arteries, the big vessels in our body. Then we have our veins, and then we have our capillaries. Now, some of the capillaries are so tiny, only one blood red cell can go through them at a time. They're that tiny. If you took the average human and put their capillaries end to end, it would wrap around the earth 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
But there is no internist, no cardiologist, no general practitioner who actually focuses on the health of this ubiquitous vascular system in our body. And that's what Kant focuses on. So the reason why your skin is tightening, the reason why your body starts to getting contours and curves is because Kaatsu is actually the vascular tissue training. It's actually enabling these capillaries and veins to become more elastic. And when they become more elastic, your skin, your bones, your muscles begin to, different words, you can say tone up, become more resilient, get stronger, etc. And
Right.
This was the secret of Kaatsu.
No, it's amazing. And so just so that everyone realizes, so the bands aren't supposed to stay on you all day. So give us the protocol so that they can understand the protocol of how to use the equipment.
Yes. So there's 2 types of bands, and they're very simple. There's the smaller bands that go around your upper arms, near your armpits, and larger bands that go around your upper legs, near your groin. You use the upper body bands for, you could do it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the same with the legs. You could do it while you're sitting down. You could do it while you're reading. You could do it while you're doing housework. Many people do it while they're doing physical therapy.
And also, so everyone can understand this, it doesn't just affect if you're doing your arms, then it's only going to affect your arms. If you're doing your legs, it's only going to affect your legs. It actually is total body. So I am doing if I'm doing in bed and I'm doing a leg exercise like this, I'm tightening my abs, and your core is also highly affected. And I see the skin on my stomach getting tighter too, which is huge. So if you can share with us all of the physiological benefits and how that works, that would be really helpful.
So what happens is when you engorge your arms or legs in blood and you do simple movement, and a simple movement can be sending a text. It can be turning the pages of a book. It could be stretching your upper body or lower body. When that happens, the veins in your body actually send a signal to your brain automatically, naturally. This happens in every human under every scenario. When the signal is sent to the brain thinks that the muscles are really working out hard, even though you're actually not doing much. You could be washing dishes, you can be stretching, it doesn't matter. When that happens, the brain is alerted, and then it sends out a variety of hormones and metabolites. It does it for a 70-year-old, it does it for a 17-year-old, it does it for a 37-year-old. And those include insulin growth factor. So IGF-1 is one. The second is nitric oxide, the thing that keeps our capillaries and veins as elastic as possible. The third is human growth hormone, HGH. That's where you see definition in your body. That's why when an older man, if he has trouble walking, all of a sudden he's walking very balanced, very authoritatively. That's why when you see people who do Kaatsu and they're a little bit older and they're a little bit hunched, all of a sudden after a month they start to have their shoulders back and sit up straight. This is a hormonal response. This is the body filling up with blood, your arms or your legs, sends a signal to the brain, and the brain naturally sends out HGH, NO, nitric oxide, IGF-1, insulin growth factor, VEGF, which is vascular endothelial cells, beta endorphins, ceramides. Why are ceramides important? Ceramides actually help the human cells repair themselves. So if you have a cut, if you've had surgery, what we found is that laceration or the sutures that are there actually heal faster. Wow. And heal better.
That's amazing. Okay, so I have to ask then, the elephant in the room is, why is it that I haven't heard of this before? Why is it a secret? Do you not do marketing?
Yes, myself, I'm an engineer. The other people in the companies, none of us are marketers, none of us are advertisers.
Okay, you are going to make a killing hopefully after this, because honestly, it's the next best thing since sliced bread, in my opinion. Okay, so let's go back to when you first met Dr. Sato.
Yeah, so 2001.
When did you bring Kaatsu here to the US?
So my internship, my mentorship, my apprenticeship with Dr. Sato took 13 years. 13 long years.
You're very patient, aren't you?
It's the same way, if you want to be a sushi chef in Japan, you have to learn how to wash the rice. You have to learn how to cut the fish. And Dr. Sato was very methodical. He wanted me to learn how to use Kaatsu on comatose patients, on patients with multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. He wanted me to be able to understand how to enable an Olympic athlete or professional athlete to perform better. So this took a lot of time, and I had to study all the processes in the body. So in 2014 is when he said, okay, Steve, go ahead and introduce this to the world. Okay.
So since you have had it here in the US, have you introduced it to, for instance, the US Olympics?
Yeah. So our biggest customer is the Department of Defense. So we sell lots of equipment to people who are in submarines, aircraft carriers, Air Force, Army, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers. We sell them to what we call the agencies. So on the military government side, we have introduced, they're always looking for making their staff and their uniformed personnel more resilient. They're always getting injured. We've also
Okay, so I have to just say, it's like they've kept it, like they stamped it top secret then there for the rest of us, because the mainstream has been in the dark up until now, which is why I had to have you on, because unlike the majority of the other episodes where everything is a proof of concept, but it hasn't made it to market, this has. So I was thrilled to learn about Kaatsu and to be able to share it with the audience, because it's so beneficial. Let's go ahead and talk about cardiovascular health and how beneficial Kaatsu is for that, because it's one of our leading killers here in the US.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why we started out with the cardiologist at the University of Tokyo Hospital is because we have our arteries, veins, and capillaries. And when we're young, children, teenagers, young adults, our capillaries and veins are very elastic, very elastic. You rarely hear of a child, a teenager, or a young adult with cold hands or cold feet. But as we age, as we become more sedentary, as we become more deconditioned, our capillaries and veins lose their elasticity. They become more brittle, harder. What Kaatsu does naturally is get back that elasticity. That's why the skin, because the skin is so filled with capillaries.
Biggest organ in your body, so it makes perfect sense. But I have to share something with you, because until just now, I didn't realize the benefits that it could be for my husband, because he suffers from Raynaud's and his fingers get purple, and so does his nose in cold weather. In fact, cold weather is like one of the biggest factors where he, his nose and his hands turn purple, and his feet, he's always suffering from that. So this could help that as well?
Absolutely. Any kind of disease that affects the nervous system, multiple sclerosis, Raynaud's, etc., it becomes painful. And you know from your husband, just looking at his hands or his nose, what the effects are. What we want to do is make his capillaries and veins and his fingertips and his toes and the extremities of his body like they were normal. And this is what Kaatsu does.
Oh my gosh, well, that was a benefit that I didn't even know about until just now. So we'll have to get him one. And by the way, he's been looking at mine enviously, and it won't fit him because the band. So let's go ahead and talk about how this works, because I've actually held it up earlier and I was wearing it in the beginning. So there are sizes for the bands, for the arms and for the legs. I have a medium arms, medium legs. Is that like what most people get?
I would say it's what a vast majority of women get. Sizes: small, medium, which you have, large and extra large. And every now and then we get a special request from literally a sumo wrestler, an NFL lineman, someone more morbidly obese people who weigh over 450 pounds. And we literally have to make specialty bands just to go around their leg.
Okay, well, I have a question when you're talking about obese, because obesity is another issue that, a lot of Americans are suffering from. And this also boosts your metabolism, right?
Yes. So what it does is when we burn calories, we use up energy. Every time our heart beats, dun, 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 our capillaries and veins expand and contract all the time. The faster they contract, or the more they contract, means you're using more energy, you're burning more calories. And that's why when you go for a run, you're burning a lot of calories. Or when you do something very aerobic and you're pumping a lot, you're burning a lot of calories. Now, this is a system where I can sit there, you can sit there. Because our capillaries and veins are expanding, we're actually burning more calories than normal.
And it'll continue throughout the day.
Yes. And so once it's like a balloon. Once you blow up the balloon, it's very elastic. When you first blow it up, it's a little bit hard. So you want to expand and contract, and you and I have discussed using this in the morning. Using it in the morning is the best thing, because then the rest of the day, your capillaries and veins are very elastic. You're much more, you have a greater range of motion, You sit up straighter, you walk better.
You want to know when I use mine?
Good.
I either pre-workout, or if I'm getting ready to go out, I put my bands on while I'm getting dressed, putting my makeup on in front of the makeup mirror. And of course I'm doing the A-E-I-O-U at the same time, lifting my head, turning it. But I'm telling you right now, insane results, insane. So, okay, so we were talking about the benefits.
I want to go back. I think that's a very important point about makeup.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
You know that makeup artists love Kaatsu. They love Kaatsu because they have the actress or the model do Kaatsu, and then they apply the makeup and get the actress or
Oh, it's your skin.
yes, absolutely.
No, it's insane. Honestly, I cannot believe it. I was actually sharing that it's comparable to doing the plumpable lip injections or plumping up the skin with other injectables, which I actually hate. Like I've done it once or twice and I really didn't like the feeling of it. I love Botox. I've been sold on Botox since its inception, but everything else I was like not a fan of. And now it's unnecessary because I was sharing the little line that when you drink from a straw, that a lot of women get after, age 40, that they have that part filled, not necessarily to make their lips bigger. Well, some do, but I just was wanting to fill that line and I hated that feeling. But Katsu, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Wait, my lips are like perfectly defined again without any injectable.
Yes. Yes.
But we talked about cardiovascular health. Let's go ahead and talk about recovery and rehabilitation and how beneficial and what the time frame is on seeing those results and benefits.
Yeah. So again, recall that we are using this with the Department of Defense, and specifically for our special operators, those Navy SEALs and Army Rangers, people who are in very difficult situations because their injuries are so horrific. They're in the battlefield. Sometimes they get shot, they'll fall from something. But these men are our national assets, and we need to get them back as soon as possible. And we've seen a tremendous increase in the speed of the rehabilitation. When the Navy SEALs started to use it, word started to get out to the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, etc. You don't want your athletes to be out injured. You need them to get back in the field of play as soon as possible. So they use Kaatsu in order to speed up their rehabilitation. How fast is that? It's literally, some doctors call it unheard of speed of rehabilitation. So one of our first examples was an Olympian. He was a silver medalist, and he crashed 28 days before the Olympics. He broke his arm, tore his ligaments, and they said, sorry, you're out. The team doctor said, why don't you use Kaatsu? He used Kaatsu. 28 days, the doctor said, you need surgery, and there's no way that you're going to the Olympics. 28 days later, he was our flag bearer at the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics.
Amazing. I love stories like this. So for the average person, let me just ask you this, because I have osteoarthritis in my knees from constant years and years of aerobic activity and jumping rope, because I used to do a jump rope aerobics class and teach that. And it just really abused my knees. And so I was told, not now, but down the line, I'm a candidate for knee replacement surgery, which is a major deal. And I really don't want to do that. So will Kaatsu help with that?
Yes. So what you want to do with the Kaatsu is weight-bearing exercise. And what's a weight-bearing exercise? Walking. Anything where you're standing up, let's say vertically, and just moving up and down, or in your office or out in the street. What that does, again, all of these hormones are secreted in the body, and they go to the cells in the body that are asking for help. That's as simple as I can say it. And
Okay, but even if they're asking for help, are they too far gone? I mean, are they able to benefit so that, like, what does that do for, I guess, rejuvenation of your cartilage in your knees? Like, does it give it new life?
Yeah. Well, it won't put something back that is gone. So it isn't magic in that. What it will do, it will keep you in place at that point. So if you don't need surgery today, you won't need surgery in a year or 2 years or 5 years down the line. The absolute best thing to do is do it at least twice a day, but once a day is fine. And why twice a day? Once a day in the morning hours, if you're a really early riser, fine. If you wake up at 10 a.m., that's fine. But also as you get closer to bed. And why closer to bed? You want hormones to be going through your body as you're sleeping. When we're sleeping, our body is recovering. That is a really optimal time for those hormones to be flowing through the body and rejuvenating what we have.
Right. And isn't it great for sleep health as well?
Yes. So many people, businessmen, but also Major League Baseball players, athletes that are traveling across the country, or just stressed out people. What you want to do is you want to put the bands on your upper arms and just do some shoulder rolls, do some simple stretching, do the classic AEIOU exercise.
That one I'm going to do every single day, at least twice a day, because I know it works. Yeah, for the face.
What that does literally is it actually makes the veins in your neck relax. So
Okay.
you go to bed and now you're relaxed. Between your brain and your body, that blood flow is natural. You don't go to bed stressed out. I'm worried about what am I going to do tomorrow, or I have this to do and that to do. And that's the thing that makes our sleep quality poor. We want to be relaxed and we want to be smoothly going to bed. And this is what Kaatsu does. We call that the Kaatsu insomnia or jet lag protocol.
Right. And everything that you're mentioning all attributes to health and wellness and your longevity. But are there other factors that you haven't mentioned yet? Because this show is all about longevity and to be able to optimize your health span and your lifespan. So, what does Katsu do in that regard?
Yeah. So when I first met Dr. Sato, I went to his laboratory and there was a long line of older Japanese people there, a long line. And I stood in line and I waited my turn. And then he said to me, "What did you see when you visited my office?" I said, "To be honest, Dr. Sato, I saw a lot of old people." And he said, "Yes, that's true." He said, "But you saw a lot of old people with smiles on their faces." And he said, "The goal of Katsu literally is to keep us healthy until the day we die. So we will all pass away at some point, but at least we want to maintain our health as best we can until that point in time. We want to be as mobile as possible. We want to be able to drive, to walk, to make food, to enjoy life, instead of, unfortunately, being hospitalized or in bed or immobile." And Katsu, because it actually produces all these hormones and metabolites that help our skin, our bones, our muscles, our ligaments and tendons, these are the things that add to the quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So quality of life is really where we're all at.
100%. And we are actually, filming this right now during a global pandemic with COVID. And a lot of people are, well, obviously the gym memberships have been canceled. And a lot of people are much more sedentary than ever before. So this is actually an optimal time to feature this as well, because I felt that it would be so beneficial in that regard too.
Yeah. So again, how I use it personally is I'm in front of my laptop most of the day, and 2 times a day minimum, I'm putting my bands on my arms or my legs as I'm typing, as I'm doing email, as I'm researching stuff online. I'm literally exercising. I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm achieving what I need to do at work, and I'm actually making my body more physically fit.
All right, so everyone now is like, where do I find this? Are you only selling Kaatsu just on your website?
Yes, we here in the United States, you can buy directly at Kaatsu. That's KAATSU.com.
Yes, and we're doing a promo code for the viewers because I want to give them a discount. It's not that expensive to begin with. I'm going to be honest with you. You've, it's been a word of mouth up until now situation where a lot of the people who it's part of their job to stay as fit as they possibly can, and so that they're in the know. So the CIA and the Navy SEALs and the Army and the Navy and the NFL and all of that's not the average person, let's just be honest. So I want to make this available to the mainstream, and so I want to offer a promo code for the viewers so they can get 10% off using Linda Cooper in all caps, and of course I'll put it at the back end in the slide too, just to go to your website, which is at kaatsu.com, so they can order it, and it's $899, and I don't think that's expensive. I really don't.
The benefits, when you consider the benefits, time savings, convenience, and the immediate and long-term benefits, I mean, it literally is well worth, $2 a day, which is the effective use of using it over time.
Okay, so let's talk about overtime. Do you have a warranty system in place? Because it is very well manufactured, but what if something happens to your Kaatsu?
We replace it.
You do?
Always replace it. I think that is why we've actually grown through word of mouth, is because people get, are very satisfied. We have some people who drop it. And because of our users are older, we understand that, I mean, we don't like doing it, but, we understand. And I can't tell an 88-year-old woman who tells me, oh, I like your product, but it doesn't work anymore. Right. Well, it turns out, she dropped it many times. So we simply replace it.
That's really nice of you. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that the word has to get out. Your own mother, you offered her up to be able to speak with my mother when she got her Kaatsu unit so that she could go over how it works and to be able to talk her through with another one of her contemporaries, which I think is great.
Yeah, so my mother's 83, my father's 85. They both use Kaatsu twice a day. They both use Kaatsu after their total knee replacements. They did not go one day of traditional physical therapy. They just used Kaatsu.
Wow.
And their surgeons were shocked. And they love to share what works for them because they see many of their contemporaries who are hobbling, who are in walkers, who have all kinds of problems, and they're walking around like normal. So.
Right. Yeah, and everyone has a different level of how to use it, and so you actually break that down it's on your website, and you have a blog and information, and for instance, for my mother, she has certain exercises that she should do as opposed to for myself, and I think that it's wonderful, and as I said, the mainstream now is aware because it's just been like the best kept biohacking secret in the world.
Very much. Yeah, we believe so. And we again, Dr. Sato's mission, when he said, Steve, it's your job now to share this with the world, I took that as a very, very serious responsibility. I'm obligated to share his knowledge with the rest of the world, and that's what we're doing.
And tell us about him. Is he still alive right now?
Oh my gosh. He is the most healthy 73-year-old in the world. He is the Jack LaLanne of Japan. I mean,
okay, I think I saw a picture of him. If that's who I am thinking of, I'm going to share that with the audience right now. And he's like the Jack LaLanne of Japan for sure, because look at those guns.
But what's amazing is people look at him and they see his arms and his stomach is so flat. His legs are like tree trunks. Wow. He's not a very tall man, but all he does is Kaatsu. He doesn't lift big weights. He just does Kaatsu. I've known him since 2001. And I speak with him even today at least 4 to 5 times a week without fail.
Aw.
In those 19 years, not once has he been sick. That's fascinating.
I love it. Okay, so, I forgot to also share how he figured this out in the first place, which I love when a story, falls into place organically. So how did he come up with Kaatsu to begin with?
So in Japan, he's Buddhist, and one of his family members passed away. So he went to the wake in the local Buddhist temple. And in the Buddhist temple, they don't have pews, they don't have chairs. They sit on their ankles and knees on a straw mat floor. And when you sit on there, it's very uncomfortable because the blood is restricted in your body, and people generally start massaging their calves. And Dr. Sato, he reached down and he felt his calf, and his calf was very, very hard. And he said, gosh, that's just like my calf feels when I'm exercising. So it was a flash of brilliance. He said, maybe if I restrict blood flow to my legs, I can replicate exercise. That was his theory. So he went back home and he got an old bicycle tube and judo belts, etc. And he started experimenting on his body. For 7 years, he experimented on his body, and he took copious notes. And he figured out it wasn't the restriction of the blood into the body, it was the slowing down of blood from the limbs to the torso. And that took 7 years of meticulous, methodical experimentation. And then in 1973, he sort of came up with his protocol. He then studied it for 20 more years, research, and then I met him soon after that.
Right, but by that point, he had already put this in place, at least with the Olympic teams and the athletic teams in Japan.
Correct. His focus wasn't athletes initially. His focus was older people. Remember, when he saw this work on his own body, he started to experiment with his aunts, his uncles, and other people. And so what happened was he saw the benefits of the older people. There was obvious benefits for him as a young man, but he saw more benefit to his older family members.
Okay.
Then he said, okay, I need to do this. I need to offer this for humans so they can live long and healthy and fruitful lives.
Yes. Well, and we're going to be offering this now to the viewers. So they can go on to Kaatsu.com. They can get 10% off with the promo code Linda Cooper in all caps. And I actually can't wait to hear about the results that the viewers get. So I want them to be able to let us know, because I love hearing success stories. And I can just tell you that just myself and my mother, we already are, big fans. And the benefits are just phenomenal. So thank you so much for being on with us today.
My pleasure. And I'm so happy to see your contours of your arms and hear about the success of your mother.
More than anything is I just can't get over the skin tightening in over my entire body, but I can see it on my face especially. And I just think, that's huge. Right there, you can go ahead and justify, instead of an injectable, Kaatsu for $8.99, that's nothing. All right, well, thank you again. And thanks for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next time on the new 100 Longevity Campaign. And yay, this one you can actually take advantage of. So I'm really excited. All right, bye, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm not backing down, 'cause the future is now. Not backing down, 'cause the future is now.